welcome to you both. Let's start then with Kenya. Why did the Interior Minister have to go?
I think the Interior Minister had to go because he wasn't doing what he was supposed to do. And we're talking about politics here now, where the president is under a lot of strain, to move, to try and get something working. There's been a lot of attack. What we're having now is more of a firefighting approach on dealing with the issue of insurgency, and the president had to move fast, changing guards to try and refresh the approach to see if things could change on the ground.
Is this cosmetic, though? Is this just being seen to change things, or is something actually changing?
From August, there have been a change. The Director of Immigration was changed, and the National Intelligence, also the head there was changed. So this is what normally happens across Africa, where we have this kind of insurgency, where you change guards. But it's not about changing the guards. It's about having an effective strategy in place to address the issue of insurgency. And
well, let's pick up that point with Cameron. Do you think Kenya has an effective strategy in place?
No. The thing is, Kenya is well placed to look back into its own records. When the British were fighting an insurgency known as Mau Mau, they didn't change ministers and police, heads of police. They planted an effective counter-insurgency operation on the soil. Now, here are people at a quarry. Nearby, there have been attacks before. You know that it is possible that danger persists in the area. What about road patrols? If they had patrolled the roads adjacent to places where there are likely to be attacks, they might have been able to intercept these people.
I mean, we can say that, and we can say it with the clarity of hindsight. But this is a tent encampment of workers. Why would you suspect that they might become a target for rampant insurgents?
When you have an insurgency on your hands, you anticipate. You don't get facts first, because the attack is a surprise attack. So what do? You look at the area geographically and say, it's likely to come from here, it's likely to come from there. Okay, let's be here, let's be there, and then communications, so that if anything at all is triggered, we shall be able to do something.
Where are you on this, Temitope? Because to me,
I think I have to agree. I have to agree with that, because I think the first thing that needs to be done in any security mapping situation, you look at the whole country and you say, where would the risk come from? Once you identify where the risk could come from, then you mitigate against those risks. And that's what we call tension monitoring. So we know that there were attacks around that particular area. You know where people are normally gathered or where there are less security. You deal with those kind of areas. You have a proper response rate. Now, these guys come in, they did what they want to do, and they disappear. Now, the question is, even if they have carried out this attack and it was a surprise attack, why is it that these people have not been dealt with? Well, we found out last week, when the same incident happened, was that the government came out and said, oh yes, we've gone out and we've killed 150 or 100 militants in a camp. Why is it that they've not killed them prior to that incident? Why the delay in the intelligence?
Is there anything useful to be gained from comparing the responses of Nigeria to Boko Haram and Kenya to al-Shabab? So in Kenya, we see change, we see movement. In Nigeria, we appear to see nothing, barely even a peep out of the president. What's your take on this?
Yes, there are a few people in the Nigerian government who shouldn't be in it by now. I wouldn't mention names, but people will know. People who have made promises and not been able to keep faith with the public about delivery and so on. Now, to go back to Kenya, the Kenyans have no excuse. They have British troops there training all the time with the Kenya security forces. And counterinsurgency is a difficult task. But there are certain specific elements of it which are common to all counterinsurgency operations, either from Vietnam or Korea, You know, I mean...
OK, so here's the thing then. We have these two armchair generals here directing operations from the safety of a studio in London. If it is so simple...
It isn't simple.
Well, if we know what needs to be done,
yes,
then Temitope, why isn't it being done?
There are a lot of reasons why it's not being done. I think one of the challenges, the concerns I have across Africa in dealing with insurgency issues and challenges is that they don't localize their strategy. You know, there's a lot of examples from around the world. One of being the contest strategy that we have here in the UK, where I actually worked under the preventive terrorism aspect. If you remember, some few months ago, some of the concerns from the Somalian community in Kenya was about victimization from the security services. Now, these are people that you need to buy in. So it's about community confidence and community reassurance.
OK, so why aren't they doing it? You know this. Yeah. Cameron knows this. I've learned this now. Why is it? Why?
The challenge that we have is that there's a lot of talking, but very little action on the ground in terms of dealing with things. Because what you need is people on the ground to assist you in dealing with this.
And so they don't have the people?
I don't think they have the proper intelligence to address this issue.
I just want to move this on. When we were talking about this yesterday, a point was raised that I thought was really interesting, that the way to defeat the likes of Boko Haram and al-Shabab is not necessarily military. Yeah. Why? There was talk about having to drain the pool of sort of poverty and unemployment from which they draw their recruits. Do you have much sympathy with that point of view?
Yes, but the major thing is that you have to know the nature of the people who are attacking. They are basically anarchists. They don't care whether the society breaks down, so long as they have...
Yes, but if they cannot recruit people in the first place, so what I was being told yesterday was that jobs and hope are the things that are needed, and not just Nigeria, but across certainly lots of those countries that were involved in the spring uprisings. It was about hope for the future. So how do you introduce that into this context?
I totally agree with you. I believe that there is a need to change the whole fabric of how we look at the drivers of terrorism in Africa. One of the areas of concern is the poverty level. One of the areas is religious teachings in Africa. If I was advising one of the presidents or these individuals involved, one of the things you have to do is you have a lot of ministers of hate roaming about the country, preaching hate, putting them in tapes and indoctrinating these young, vulnerable youths. Some of them are vulnerable. So you need to be able to either license religious leaders to be able to know who is preaching what and to be able to deal with them. That's one bit. The other bit is if you could give $50 or £50 to somebody to blow themselves up, then I don't see the reason why government should not actually intervene in that kind of situation and actually provide that kind of resources for the people, because that is what is happening in Nigeria, particularly now, where people are just giving a little bit of money to do what they're doing.
With the greatest respect, yes, that is a bit simplistic. Listen, you had an insurrection in Northern Ireland that lasted for years and years and years. Northern Ireland is not full of unemployed.
Yes, it is.
Well, I mean, really comparing it to Nigeria,
in the rest of the UK.
Comparing it to Nigeria, or the Basque region in Spain, there are certain situations that give rise to insurgencies. Yeah. Part of it is poverty, yeah, but a great deal of it is also ideological.
True.
That's why I use the term anarchists. These people want to break down the society because they cannot come to grips with it. They don't understand what a constitutional government is. They don't want freedom of speech. They want conformity. They want people to go to the mosque every Friday, listen to the imam, and so long as the imam is laying down something that they agree with, they will let it be. That is what they want. And it is not easy in a modern setting to deal with it. And unfortunately for Africa, the ministers and the government and the police and the army are comfortable. They've got
they've got what they need. They've forgotten about the rest. All right, this is a situation. We're going to come back to this, I'm sure, over the coming weeks and months. Thank you both for now.